Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hello and welcome to episode 189. There's no ands. Slamfire Radio, January 13th, 2017. I am one of your hosts, Trevor.
I'm another one of your hosts, Matthew. And
Adriel.
And
There are no ands.
And
Matthew.
And
I can tell by the show notes that you've done a lot this week in guns. So why don't you start us off?
well, I did a lot this week, but none of it was in guns. I've been quite busy with other projects, but none gun related. So, Adriel, what'd you do in guns?
I had dinner with Thomas.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Thomas, a listener of the show, was in town, so we went and had dinner, and then he bought me dinner. So
Nice. How you're always
There.
getting food?
Subway, right?
no,
Still.
none of that Subway. That is not enough for Thomas. We went to Red Lobster.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Oh, Thomas. I actually have a show.
That's fancy in Edmonton. So
That is fancy in Edmonton. You guys don't even know what lobster is out there. You're so landlocked. I got a show for Thomas at the end of the show, too. I won't get into details, but we'll get there later.
awesome.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I made a little bit of 9mm, some of that X-Metal targets bullets, the polymer coated bullets there, and
I heard you.
yeah,
I heard you talking last week about how slippery they are.
yeah, very slippery. Yeah, I mean they load like every other bullet. There's not really much to say about them. I'll let you know when I shoot them, and we'll see if they put holes in targets. I'm willing to bet that they do.
Now, did you download a little bit from your previous recipe?
My previous recipe, I was using TMJs, so I don't know. I'll try a couple different kinds.
No, I'm saying, like, let's say you were using 3.4 grains of powder with a full metal jacket. Did you dial that back for this bullet?
Or what are we? I am using 125s, and I was doing 4 grains of tight group.
Okay. And did you go 124 or 147 this time?
124. The 147s were costing more.
124. And how many grains of tight group were you using?
4. I'm looking up my.
You're probably going to get the same speed at like 3.6. So you'll have to get them on the crony anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't. I want to make sure that you crony a couple before you load 1,000. Then find out, wow, these are snappy, because these bullets require a significant amount or a noticeable, a lot less gunpowder.
There we go. Yeah.
It's late and I'm tired.
Okay. Well,
Cool.
What did you do?
All right. I did all kinds of cool stuff and bought some stuff, and some stuff arrived. My CCFR calendars arrived, and I took them out of the envelope, and they fell open to September. I don't know, and they just stayed that way.
Weird.
I know, right? So I am very much enjoying my CCFR calendars, and guys, it's not too late. It's still in the month of January. The price has been slashed, so head on over to. Oh, and I ordered the CCFR beanie today, one of those cool black toques, right? So the CCFR website has all kinds of cool items that you can buy there, in calendars with cool pictures inside. What else did I do? The stages for SummerSlam. So because SummerSlam is a level 3 match, it's sanctioned. It's sanctioned by IPSC World. So they actually review the stages and will approve or disapprove them based on ratios, round counts, target placement, or target arrays, I should say, stuff like that. So a match director certifying or registering a level 3 match has to have his stages reviewed and approved. So my stages have gone out for approval. So that's cool. Hopefully they come back soon. If there are any changes that have to be made, and there always are, and it kind of gets under my skin because I will submit the exact same wording and format that I did the year before and it was approved, but they want me to change something the next year. I don't get that. And they're like, you have to designate these poppers as IPSC poppers. Well, it's an IPSC match. What other kind of popper would I be using? They're obviously IPSC targets. They're obviously IPSC poppers. Why do I have to call them IPSC poppers in the description? They're not IDPA poppers because we're not shooting. Anyway, go button unpressed. I worked on my Tanfoglio Stock 3. So this is a 9mm production pistol, double action, single action. The trigger pull was very heavy. I replaced the springs, and then I went to the Titan hammer. I was told by the dealer that if you go with the light Tanfoglio Extreme springs, they'll work, but you're going to be limited to Federal primers, Federal being the softest primers on the market. Unless you go with the Titan hammer, then you can use anything you want. So I said, well, I can't always guarantee that I'm going to have Federal primers because they're expensive and they're hard to find sometimes. So I bought the Titan hammer, and now it will fire small rifle primers. So the gun should be completely reliable with all kinds of primers. So I'm looking forward to getting that out. I actually set up an IPSC belt for it. I made some changes to my holster for my classic gun. In IPSC, there's a rule that says how far the center line, and it is the center line for all of you people arguing on the internet, how far away the center line of the grip is to your body, not the belt, not the hanger, not the tech lock, your actual body. And so it's from the center line to your body, and it has to be 50 millimeters max. And I'm using a Blade Tech holster with a tech lock and a dropped and offset mount, and it's illegal for IPSC. So I had to shim that all up to get it tucked into my body a little bit, which is good because now the muzzle's not pointed at my leg when the gun's in the holster. So I set that up. I set up a Tanfoglio holster, a Ghost holster for my Tanfoglio Stock 3 on a different belt. So that's ready to go if I decide I want to shoot a production match. I've got a belt ready for that. Then the new shell latch and competition lifter for my Versamax arrived. So I reassembled that, tried to get out and shoot it, but it was just way too cold. I loaded a lot over the Christmas break. Like I loaded 400 rounds of 12 gauge, and I'm just dying to get out and try that Versamax now that it has the new competition lifter and the new shell latch.
How much 223 did you reload?
I didn't get around to doing that, but it's all disassembled. I pulled all 1,700 rounds and sorted the brass by brass that was too short, brass that was correct, and brass that needed to be trimmed. So yeah, and then I got another bucket of brass that I'm going to go through and send some Matthew's way. Matthew was fighting with some IVI. Well, I got a whole bunch of Winchester, and he doesn't suffer from the OCD that I have. So if it's a little too short for me, he has nothing. He doesn't care. So he'll get the stuff that's a little too short for me, and I'll keep the stuff that I can trim to the number that I now accept in my mind as correct. So, and then I started my 1022 project. So as we know, I was supposed to buy a 1022. Kelly was supposed to buy me, or did buy me, a stock in exchange for me shaving my legs. By the way, I'm very concerned. The hair has not yet begun to return.
Mm. Cool.
And no, it is a little cool
Exactly.
actually. Yeah. So
Cold.
Yep, a little worried about that. So anyway, I was in Nova Scotia for some other stuff, and I brought home a 1022, a new stack-on gun safe, a Glock 19 mag from that. Have you ever been to the Army surplus store in Halifax, Matthew?
No.
Pretty good selection of guns and some accessories and lots of different magazines for lots of different platforms and handguns. And they actually had Glock 19 mags in stock. I couldn't believe it. And only $10 more than a Glock 17 mag. So I was like, not bad, really. So I grabbed one, and they had M1 Garand N blocks. And I've never seen an N block anywhere except for CGN. I don't know if they're newly manufactured, if they're leftover, if they're good quality or not. But at $4 a piece, I thought, who cares? Give me $20 worth, please. And then I purchased a RCBS Case Master. So this is one tool with a dial indicator on it that's supposed to measure a bunch of different things on your brass: case neck thickness, bullet run out. It's a test for incipient head separation. And like any tool that does a bunch of stuff, it doesn't do any one thing exceptionally well. I'd say its best feature is the bullet runout feature. So now I know how out my bullets are, and I have no idea how to fix them. So I've got a whole new thing to worry about when it comes to reloading. Now I know my bullets are crooked, and I don't know what's causing it. But I know they're crooked. Before I didn't know. Now I know. Nexus
Probably shoots like 1 MOA, and you're worrying because they're crooked.
I don't want one. Yeah, but I want one MOA at like 600. Right?
Yeah, but an MOA is an MOA. Doesn't matter how far away it is.
Doesn't matter if it's 6 inches at 600 or I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah. Touche, Adriel. I just automatically went to 1 MOA at 100, but yeah. Last night was the Rescue Gun Club's AGM. We changed our constitution a couple of years, last year or something, where now the terms are for 2 years, and you're elected on the even or odd year. So this year it was treasurer, president, and second vice president. So because my term was not up, I ran the election. We actually had somebody run against Muffin.
Cool.
That never happens. Nobody ever wants to be the president. I mean, Chris Kingston was a president for he started when John Moses was working on the 1911, so it was a while, right?
While,
yeah. So one of the rifle guys ran against Muffin, and had to ask them both to leave the room so we could have a vote, and Muffin was successful. So he carries on as president. Harold carries on as second vice president, and lucky for us, our treasurer doesn't know the difference between 2 years and 6 months, because he's claiming that I talked him into the job by telling him it would only be for 6 months. And last night we reelected him for another 2 years. He hates me. Awesome. He's such a good guy. This is the guy that came up to me and one day he goes, well, I got a thing with my foot or whatever, so I'm not going to shoot competitively this year. And I looked at him and said, well, quite frankly, you didn't shoot competitively last year either. He's hanging on to that one. I got to tell you. Oh, man. So, anyway. And then I was podcasting with Styx over at the Arms Girls Project about brass prep and how much it sucks, but you'd never know it because he screwed up the audio, so it never made it on. So, thanks for that, Styx. And Adriel, I was really the show was kind of long, so I'm going to let it go this week. But last week, I was losing my mind. Losing my mind. You bought a Keltec, and it's not bad enough that you bought a Keltec. You bought a Keltec Sub 2000. And, that's not bad enough. You bought a Keltec Sub 2000. That is damaged. And it's damaged because it had an out-of-battery discharge. Mm-hmm. So you bought a gun. That's garbage. You bought a gun that's damaged, and it's damaged because of a known problem that exists with them.
Well, hold on. Just
wait.
sec.
Give me one more second. Okay, go.
Was it the Glock mag one or the other mag one?
Glock mag one.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that one thing you didn't screw up. Okay, keep going, Trev.
Thank you. That was good. Actually, I'm glad you jumped in there. Adriel, you paid $200 for this, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you just give next time you have $200 to waste, give me $100. I'll kick you in the jewels, and it will be less painful and cost less than owning a Keltec.
We'll see.
All right, I'm gonna give you 10
TBD.
seconds. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to tell me why you did this. Go.
It's cheap.
It doesn't matter if it's free. If it's broken, it's broken.
Yeah, but see, he can play with it now, and he can get the experience for himself.
You haven't seen a photo of this, have you?
I have not.
It'll get fixed.
All right. Cool.
How?
It's just a receiver. It's all plastic.
Evenly.
He's gonna 3D print one.
Oh, I could.
That's not a bad idea, huh?
Even when it's fixed, all you've done is fix a Keltec. Have you thought about that?
It's a small step.
Oh, man. All right. You are the Richard Hammond of the show. I have decided. Kelly's on assignment. Kelly is hanging out in Waco, Texas right now with a lot of our good friends. I just got a picture. Styx is there. Yeah. I didn't know Styx was going to be there. I would have probably changed my mind and made the trip. But
that was Rick with him too there, wasn't it?
Is that Rick? Yes, that is Rick. That's Rick from Ontario.
Yeah.
That's the official photographer, isn't it?
The official photographer, yep.
Oh,
so
damn it.
Got the shortest guy in the room and the tallest guy in the room. Took a picture.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
That's clever, yeah. Outstanding. All right. What do we got next then?
Upcoming events.
Yeah. All right. I'll take the first one. 7th Annual Canadian Podcasters Charity Shoot is going to be held Saturday, the 8th of July, 2017, at the Guelph Rod and Gun Club in Guelph, Ontario. It's hosted jointly, by the way. We haven't been saying this, but it is official. It's jointly being hosted by the Canadian Patriot Podcast and the International Liberty or Death Podcast. If you need to know how to be arrested wearing a plate carrier, these are the guys to check out.
Yeah, they'll help you out with that.
They will. They offer you a course in that. Speaking of courses, I'm going to ask Andrew, the host of the Canadian Patriot Podcast and owner of Ragnarok Tactical, to come on to talk about his training course. And he will be offering a carbine training course the day before the charity shoot. I'm waiting for details on that, price, round count, stuff like that, so we can plug that on the show.
Cool.
This year's carbine.
It's like a carbine, but like a carbine, but pronounced correctly.
No, carbine's correct. Carbine is wrong.
I suppose you say lever instead of lever.
I suppose I say combines plow a field. Well, I don't. Combines, but not combines.
Are we talking about farming equipment or rifles?
Yeah, it's spelled
Right.
the same way.
Yeah, just like live and live. Spelled the same way, pronounced differently.
Right.
It's
One's wrong and one's right.
depends on the context.
Nope, never. Always
If
my
you're
way.
yelling
I'll
out
hang
your
up
truck
on
window, you don't have long to live, you know.
I'll mute you out.
All right. This is turning into an episode of We Like Shooting. This year's charity is Many to One, and you can get more information at many-2-1.org. Next, Matthew, would you please take over?
No.
All right. Got Your Six charity shoot, second annual precision rifle competition, July 22nd, 23rd, Edson, Alberta. Funds raised to go towards the War Horse Awareness Foundation.
I changed my mind.
Go ahead.
GotYour6shoot.com.
Perfect. Well done.
Great job.
SummerSlam 11 being held at the Rescuers Gun Club August 5th and 6th. It's a level 3, 16 stages, approximately 300 rounds. Registration is now open. It opened on Monday, and within 24 hours, I had 70 spots sold. As of right now, this moment, Thursday night, there's approximately 32 spots left. So selling out in a week. It'd probably be sold out by Monday. It's $160 if you pay by check or money order, and $140, not $150, $140 in if you. I guess we've been saying $150, so that's why I corrected that. $140 if you pay by EMT.
That's a lot less.
Cool.
$20, yeah, $20
EMTs
incentive.
are a lot easier to use.
And yet I still received a money order and a check in the mail yesterday.
Yep. Hey,
So,
some people
check.
just
I know, right? Checks. I can't even get checks from my bank.
like a person from Czechoslovakia. You mean?
Yeah.
only check I know.
with- Yeah, he was trying to bring CZs into the country, but the RCMP said no.
Oh, meta.
CAP's use of force training class with Dave Young. Best way for us to describe Dave Young, especially to our American listeners, Dave is our Masada Ayub. He teaches use of force and when to use force. The cost of the course is $400 plus applicable taxes. Training will take place in the town of Dalhousie, New Brunswick on October 14th and 15th. Go to www.caps-training.com/sign up, and it's sign-up to register today. I think he may have gotten another one signed up recently. So there's 15 seats in total and only 12 remaining. Come on out, meet Dave. Matthew and I will be there. Maybe some other CCFR folks. Kelly's looking for an excuse to come down, so who knows. Another upcoming event that I will just throw in here on the fly is the second annual Ronnie DeGroot Memorial Steel Challenge. So this debuted last year when it was the Rock Out with Your Glock Out Ronnie DeGroot first annual Memorial Steel Challenge. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's a steel challenge match. It will take place on June 3rd, 2017 at the Rescuers Gun Club. You don't need any kind of special training. You don't need to be a member of IPSC. You don't need a black badge. A little bit of holster experience would be great, but basically you just need a pistol, 9mm and up. If we get enough people at 22s, we'll do something for you guys, whatever. Matthew, what do you think? We had a lot of fun last year, didn't we?
Oh man, I can't wait to do it again. That's the most fun I ever have at the Rusty Goose Gun Club.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
informal.
Steel Challenge. I just love
Yeah.
it. It's fun. It's so exactly. It's so informal, and everybody's just there to have fun. It's not a big, no, there's no egos on the line, nothing like that. We're just out there shooting steel, having a blast.
Well, my ego's always on the line, but I have a problem.
I went without saying, except that you said it. So,
Of course, had to be said. No. Steel is fun. The targets are big. They're easy to hit. We actually incorporate some of the stages from the legitimate Steel Challenge competitions, and then we put in some stuff for fun. So, yeah. And Bolivar is coming.
really,
Yeah, he's booked his room and everything.
wow,
Yeah. So,
that's too bad.
yeah. Adriel, how about you? How about you
Do the
take
news
the first
thing?
news item? Yeah.
Do that news? Yeah. Well, this should trigger you a little bit more than me buying a Caltech. Paintball gun photo prompts partial evacuation of Nova Scotia University dormitory. Police in Halifax are telling people to watch what they post on social media after a photo of a man holding a realistic-looking paintball gun prompted a partial evacuation of a university dormitory. Investigators say security staff at St. Mary's University were shown a photo Friday evening of a man holding what appeared to be an assault rifle inside of a university residence. Police say that they were then called to the building and evacuated the floor where the student suspected of being in the photo lived. The student was not there, but was found at another location and was taken into custody. However, police soon learned that the item in the photo was a paintball gun, not an assault rifle. Halifax police say people should not post photos of themselves on social media with guns that appear to be real. Police have to treat these investigations as if they were firearms, which could potentially lead to dangerous situations, Halifax Regional Police said in a news release. It also ties up police resources and could result in various charges for the person posting the pictures. That was very patient of you, Trevor. I can't believe you didn't jump in there at any point.
And I apologize. I thought you were done. Yeah, well, obviously, I want to jump in there because I was at St. Mary's the next day, and I was in possession of a replica sword. So and I made no bones about hiding it. I was walking the halls with a sword at St. Mary's.
Swinging it.
Yeah.
Cops didn't get called or nothing?
Cops didn't get called or nothing.
Weird.
Yep. So there you go.
Meanwhile, police are on the lookout for a 45-year-old balding man with a goatee waving a sword.
45, huh?
I don't know. I had to take a guess. I don't know how old you are.
You know exactly how old I am, and that's not it. That's mean.
All right, 55. Yeah, at least you want to look your age, right?
All right, Adriel, take the next one too. Take the next.
Them all.
Take them all. Yeah.
Take them all.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, anyways, are you guys going to stop taking pictures with guns? Realistic looking firearms, not the maybe we're good to go with the real ones.
Yeah, you can take pictures of real guns. You just can't take pictures of realistic looking guns.
It's the replica
At least that's
rule.
what they said,
Yeah.
right? Look,
Yeah,
I post
that is what
pictures
they
of
said.
myself holding guns on Facebook on a regular basis, and I've never had the cops called on me. But then again, I don't live on a university campus either, so...
I was going to say, yeah, you're not a student at a Catholic university, are you?
You got to have some sort of common sense, I guess. But at the same time, it wasn't illegal, and
Yep. That's my thing right there.
Yeah.
They're telling somebody to do something that's not illegal.
yeah, I don't like that. Look, the more people who are, well, I mean, it was a paintball gun. Maybe Buddy could have said, hey, check out my new paintball gun. I don't want to put it on him, though. He doesn't have to, but at the same time, we do live in a society where people look at guns and freak out. You got to bear
point.
that in mind, but I don't know.
Yeah, only so long until the Canadian ATF breaks into my place and shoots my cat. And
Right.
I guess wide. Anyways, I'll run into the next one here. Wolverine was trying to bring in some CZ858s.
See what?
And
Z.
At this point, I loved doing this.
Andy Shan's got me convinced, man. It's Z. For all kinds of logical reasons I don't have time to explain to you, Matthew.
Well, I would reject them as reality anyway and substitute my own.
Which is why I will say Z.
That's
Zed
the thing
it
to do.
is.
Z or Zed, the RCMP determined that they were prohibited when Wolverine Supplies was bringing them in. Now, the other ones that are in country were reclassified to non-restricted from prohibited. But it seems like when they tried to bring these ones in, they were bringing them in and not as just the straight-up CZ858s. They're bringing them in as a CZ858 Tactical 2P Spartan Limited Edition with real not beaver barf wood. And that's a new firearm, I guess. So they needed a new FRT, and the RCMP said, those are prohibited because they are converted automatics.
So what happened was the CZ858s were all deemed to be prohibited. This is a history lesson for the viewers. You can be watching if you want. I don't care. Who may not be up to speed on this. So they prohibited all of them because they came from, in their logic, somehow a converted auto, like an automatic assault rifle from over in wherever.
I think the receivers were automatic, but like at the factory before they ever became a gun, they made them so that they could never possibly ever go back to that.
Right. So they definitely, for whatever reason, they originally came into Canada as non-restricted, and then the RCMP got their hands on them and said, no, we made a mistake. These are prohibited. Well, the Canadian gun owners lost their minds, and we made a big stink, and this was back when the Conservatives were still in power, and so the government made the RCMP switch it back. But they switched it back for that gun only, the CZ858 by name. And so whenever these guys, Wolverine, is bringing in these new ones, they don't have the same name. And so they're saying, well, it's a different gun. Meanwhile, the only difference is some laser etching in the stock. And
Right,
it's different.
The wood's nice, too. It's not
The
the
wood is-
thing
yeah.
stuff.
The thing to add to this, though, is the whole argument that they're making about converted auto. The reason why they got pulled from the shelves and all Canadians who had them were told that they were prohibited is because they inspected them and said, these receivers used to be automatic receivers. So here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to send a letter to everyone in the country with a firearms license. Not that they would reach everyone anyway, because people move and don't update their address. But what they should have done is they should have mailed every firearms owner, every POW holder, a letter that said, some of these guns are converted autos. You need to report to this RCMP station in this province on this day and have it inspected. And if it turns out that it's a converted auto, we're taking it. If it's not actually a converted auto receiver, sorry to bother you. Off you go. They didn't do that. Instead, they said they're all prohibited. You have 30 days to turn them in, like Matthew just said, right? The problem with this thing is these are newly manufactured, and yet they were manufactured from the ground up to be semi-auto only, and only ever were semi-auto because they're newly manufactured, and yet they are prohibiting them on the claim that they are converted autos, when they know full well it's absolutely impossible for them to be converted autos because they were never auto in the first place.
Yep. But because that receiver and that platform is traditionally automatic, that's what they're basing that on. Regardless, it's the same gun. And the only difference is they changed the wood and put some fancy etching in the wood. And so there's zero common sense for them to be doing this. Like zero. But that's what they did anyway. So we're going to see if we can sway the public opinion again and get them into the country anyway. We'll see if we're successful this time with a liberal government in power instead of a conservative one.
And there's the challenge, right, Matthew? There's nobody to slap them on the PP this time.
Nope.
There's no checks and balances. The RCMP now has free reign to, do arbitrary decisions and make up rules.
Yep.
Yep. Mountie law in the firearms lab.
Yeehaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They actually have here in their comments the firearm CZ858 Tactical 2-Piece Spartan Limited Edition, yada yada yada. It's not specifically named in the exemptions under the regulations prescribing certain firearms and other weapons. So therefore, we can deem it prohibited.
So what the FRT firearms reference tables currently says is all CZ858s are prohibited, except the CZ858s that are exempt by name. And so because this other one came in and it's not the same name, it's one of those other ones, so it's prohibited.
Yep. So the irony here is that there are Canadians that right now are actually in lawful possession of non-restricted converted autos, and these, which were built to be semi-auto only, are not allowed in.
Right. Yay!
Yep.
Logic!
Well, on to the next one here. The next one, North Silva's bringing in some CSA VZ58 compacts. They've got a 7.5-inch barrel. There's just these tiny little guys.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll be barky. Yeah. It would be really nice if they could bring them in classified as pistols.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Just lop off the stock and call it a pistol.
Yeah, Edward tried that with the one that didn't have the stock, and they wouldn't let it. It wouldn't fly. So
they said no.
Too bad.
What was the reasoning behind that again? Like, why can we have an AR-15 pistol, but we can't have a a VZ
You know,
pistol?
Because
if
we
they
wanted a
use the
10-round
same
mag,
logic,
No,
if
I
they
know
use the
why
same
we want
logic
to try.
today,
Yeah, I want to know why
they probably would have stopped the AR-15 from being classified as a pistol.
Oh,
Because the reasoning they gave on that one, I think, was that the receiver was originally made for a rifle, therefore this is a rifle.
Right.
Which the AR-15 receiver is an AR-15 receiver, pistol or rifle. So
Right. So they let the AR-15 through once without thinking. They didn't realize what hornet's nest they were kicking. And they let that in, and that gave us a 10-round pistol mags for the AR-15. Then they went, dope, but it was too late, and so now they're just stopping all the other ones.
And yeah, to say that we should have a 10-round Beowulf pistol doesn't work like that.
No.
It's not the caliber that determines whether or not it's a pistol. It's the platform.
It's a receiver.
Yeah.
It's the platform.
So if you decided to put, if you had a lower that was registered as a AR pistol and decided to put a Beowulf 7.5-inch upper on it, you don't suddenly get a 10-round Beowulf mag. Doesn't work like that. Or do you?
you know what? Like if you tried that today, I think they'd just pull some trumped up dual use.
Here's what they
thing on you.
well, that's what they're trying to do with the current Beowulf mags, the dual use crap.
Oh, sorry. The lower would have to be registered as a Beowulf pistol lower.
Yes. Yeah, that's what you'd have
There
to
you
do.
go.
But here's the thing, all magazines in Canada are restricted to 5 rounds, except pistols that are in common use is the way it's worded, or something similar to that. Commonly available pistols can have 10-round mags. So and they have an arbitrary number. I don't know what it is, 75 or 100 or 150. I don't know what it is. But they have an arbitrary number of how many of those pistols need to be registered in Canada before they classify it as commonly available. And then
How many
it's allowed to have... Huh?
How many Ruger Charger pistols are there? That's the number.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's the new number.
And that's another whole crap storm.
Adriel, you want to talk a little bit about the Hudson H9?
I don't think I put that one in.
I did, but so I thought maybe you were up on it. But if not, I'll talk about it.
I don't know nothing about it. What is
Okay,
it?
well,
Tell us about the Hudson.
The Hudson H9 is what happens when John Moses Browning and Gaston Glock have an affair type thing. They share a special adult hug, and they produce an offspring that is the Hudson H9. So if you don't get it by now, what that means is somebody has actually created a hybrid striker-fired 1911. So it's a 1911 style gun. It has the ergonomics of the 1911. It has a very traditional-looking 1911 grip. It has
Is it
steel.
Is it a
steel
polymer
frame?
Oh, it's still steel frame. Okay, cool.
Steel frame.
Cool.
The it's a steel frame 1911 striker fired gun. So the bore height, they got it right. Unlike the SIG P320 where they dropped the hammer but kept the high bore height, not these guys. Hudson lowered that bore height to reflect the bore height consistent with that of a striker fired pistol.
Have you seen the video of the guy shooting it?
I have,
and it looks like that gun is buried.
It has the flipperosity of a 22.
It really does.
It's not moving.
It's straight back. I mean, that guy is probably crushing the crap out of it, but still, I mean, it looks like they did it right. I want to shoot this thing.
I want to shoot it. Here are my concerns. Okay, one, it's ugly. It really is. Especially the front is hard looking. It has a pig nose front underneath the barrel. It's ugly. Two, it's going to be ridiculously expensive. I'm hearing numbers of $1,400 US right now.
Ouch.
Yeah. So it's going to be big. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be single stack. So it's going to have limited capacity, even in 9mm. We're not going to see more than 10 unless you get into some kind of extended magazine. So, okay, it's going to guys who like the fit and feel of a 1911.
Whoa, did you just say it's a single stack? Because it's a double stack.
Is it really a double stack?
15 plus 1.
Oh, okay.
For
Good.
9mm.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only other concern then I have is I imagine this is going to be a gun with a reasonably high parts count, and it has to be a huge success in the marketplace for a lot of aftermarket support. But more important than that is, like, we all know we can get Glock parts in 5 minutes. I can hang up from this call, and I can literally have Glock parts in the mail in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Can't do that with my FN. I love my FN, but if in a situation where laws didn't matter anymore and I needed a handgun on my hip for survival, the FN is going to stay in the bag and the Glock's going to go in the hip, and I got a bunch of spare parts all over this place for the Glock. Can't say that for a lot of the pistols. All the striker fired pistols that came into this house are all gone, except for the Glocks and the FN. So the Hudson's cool, but I don't know if it's going to be, it could be big and heavy. Is this something that Americans are going to want to carry? I don't know. Is it going to be a good gun, or is it just a novelty item?
Might make a great production pistol.
It won't. Yeah, striker fired. Yeah.
Looks real ugly.
But you're
I don't
right,
mind
Matthew.
the look of it, actually. I don't think it's a good-looking gun, but I don't think it's particularly ugly.
I see.
I
this
mean,
gun,
a high point is ugly. And a high point's ugly for very good reasons.
unless it's a Navy SEAL edition.
Well, we're getting to that, but but this one, it's done like all of the things that are sort of off about it are off for a reason. Whereas with a high point, it's just ugly for no apparent reason that I can figure out. I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't hate the look of it, and I'm very interested in shooting one someday.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I know a lot of guys. I spoke to Jeff Reese from Calgary Shooting Center. If you don't shop there, you're a communist. He's on his way to SHOT Show, and he will certainly be checking this out. Shaw is going to be checking it out. It's the thing to have. I spoke to a distributor in Canada, and they're interested, and I imagine a lot of Canadian distributors are interested. Who knows how long it's going to be before we get it up here, but
yeah, only time will tell, really.
I think it'll be a more suitable pistol, competition pistol right now than anything else. We'll see. But go to Hudson Manufacturing, go to their website, go to their Facebook page, and check out the videos. It looks like something. I got to tell you.
Yeah, it looks like something. You're right.
Yep, it looks like something.
It's definitely something.
All right. Any other news items before we move into funny classified gun ads?
No.
Nope.
All right. So we only have one this week.
But it's a doozy.
It's a very special one. I mean, this is not something that I knew existed, and I was pretty excited when I saw this. This is it's a High Point 45 limited Navy SEALs edition. That's right. The Navy SEALs are carrying High Points according to this seller.
What do you mean according to? I thought that was common fact.
Well, it's news to me, I guess.
Okay.
So it's
you really aren't up to date in all the things that Navy
true.
SEALs do, are you? I mean, come on.
No, you're right. I'm not privy to Navy SEAL tactics and equipment.
That's right. I'm right.
So the seller is asking a mere $675 for this special Navy SEALs edition High Point. It comes with, well, considering a regular High Point can be bought in the U.S. for $150, this is a steal for something the Navy SEALs use, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Or have at least endorsed or designed. I mean, I'm not an expert in these things. Carbon fiber grips, compression barrel.
Yep.
It has a Timony trigger, which also was something I was unaware of, that High Points were getting Timony trimmers. It has custom military sights. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever seen the slide on a High Point, but how they, that's witchcraft, I guess. It has custom military sights. This is number 23 of 150 made, so there's only
150 SEALs, right? So it makes sense that there's only 150 guns.
It has what looks to be a Nick Star quality light hanging off the front rail.
That good a quality?
Yeah,
Man,
I'd say it's definitely Nick's. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm jealous.
Who knew? $670. It's a steal because I mean everybody wants a Navy SEAL edition High Point.
I already bought it. You guys should know. Don't bother looking for this because I already bought it.
I need either number 22 of 150 or number 23. You know, and Kelly could get number 21. Adriel could get number 24.
Yeah. Matching. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what you could use the Patreon.
Well,
money
sequential,
for.
I think, is the word you're looking for because matching would mean we all have the same.
The same, yeah. You couldn't let that go, huh? You just couldn't give him that one.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So when he pistol whips you with his Navy SEAL edition High Point, you'll not know.
I'll probably be dead because it weighs 85 pounds.
It certainly does. Yeah. So, all right. Shall we jump into our main topic then? We've got a pretty special guest lined up tonight, so why don't we jump right into that? Joining us this week, we have Daniel Shaw. Daniel Shaw is an instructor, a podcaster, a former Marine, somebody that Matthew and I call a friend. Daniel, welcome back to Slamfire Radio.
I don't think he calls us friends though, does he? We think he's our friend, but really he's like, who are these guys?
It's totally not mutual, and
No.
it's former active duty Marine, still a Marine.
Still a Marine.
Yeah, no former yet, huh?
Look, if you're going to be picky about it, Shaw, like I can do the whole thing over.
No.
Or we can,
No.
or if you don't want to be uptight, we can roll with it. What's it going to be?
Leave all this in there.
Oh, you don't understand the way I work. There is no editing.
There's no editing. Yeah. Well, welcome back, Daniel.
Hi, thanks, man. Love the show.
Yeah, apparently you love the show so much that we are, and let me know if this is inappropriate, but no, it's not appropriate because, well, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's too late.
You mentioned recently that you only, you're a Patreon supporter of 3 shows. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And I believe this is one of them.
it is. I am a Patreon supporter of you, Paul Carlson, the Safety Solutions Academy, and the We Like Shooting Show. That doesn't mean those are the only ones I like. They're
No, yeah.
but
No,
those are
it's
all
just
ones
that
that,
you just like us a little better than the rest. That's cool.
We're not judging.
No,
We're not
no.
judging.
they're the ones that, as of right now, I am comfortable giving them dollars and knowing that they're going to keep doing stuff and keep putting out good stuff. And I don't mind putting a little bit of money and helping support them do that.
Well,
I don't know
gotta-
about good stuff, but we'll put out stuff.
He wasn't talking about us. He was talking about,
Good.
you know,
Woo.
yeah. We put out stuff. They put out good stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Daniel,
Bring balance to the force.
exactly. There can't be good without evil, right?
Yep.
So if every day is a sunny day, then what's a sunny day? Well, thanks, man. I got to tell you, it means a lot to have somebody of your status,
Caliber.
you know, whatever word you're calling yourself this week to describe your awesomeness. We certainly appreciate you helping out with the little Canadian show up here. It means a lot. So,
No problem.
and I put a plug in for your Patreon, spread that around Facebook. Basically, and I'm going to say it here too. If you don't support Daniel's show, you're a communist. That's just how it is. It's time to put up or shut up. You're going to listen? What's $1, right? What's $1 an episode? You listen to the show, and it's like, was that worth $1? Hell yeah, that was worth $1. Only $1, but it was worth $1. Right?
Yeah, now is that a Canadian dollar or an American dollar?
I don't know how he gets paid. He's probably only getting 85 cents from my Patreon.
Probably.
That's probably what it is. Yeah, I get like 85 cents an episode. Yeah, man. No, it's the Patreon was really cool. I just started a couple of months ago, and I didn't know how it was going to do, and now I'm at like $155 an episode, which is really awesome because before that number ticked up to there, I still had some really big plans for 2017. I quit my job and I'm doing this full time, and podcasting is I'm doing 8 episodes a month now, which is a lot for me. If you follow Gunfighter Cast, and you know that they've been released intermittently for the past 4 years.
What are you talking about? That's like the most scheduled podcast ever.
you know, you're probably going to get 3 a year, right? That's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do it because I'm in a really unique opportunity as a trainer, and you know, all my friends and colleagues that I talk to and hang out with and learn from, they're the top of the game. You know, the top in the world in the firearms training, and I'm scheduling classes with all of them, and my schedule's filling up right now where I'm going to go take training classes with them. I'm going to record podcasts with them and some students, and there's going to be a lot of stories that come out from all those training courses that I'm going to take. You know, as a person that is by some considered an expert, I believe that I'm on a quest for expertise, and this year is going to help me move me quite a bit further in what I call my quest for expertise and learn a lot more. And you know, I'm a student, and I don't just say that I'm a student. I'm actually a student. So it's I just get to teach people. Usually more often than I'm taking classes, but this year I'm trying to do the opposite of that. And the Patreon and the Gunfighter Cast supporters and me taking on a few companies that I believe in as advertisers is what's allowing me to do that.
Awesome. So let's actually take a step back. This is where you're at now. That's good. We covered what's new. You quit your job. You're going after sponsors. You're going to be more of a student than you have been in the past for a while. Let's talk about how you got here for the listeners who may be new to the Daniel Shaw experience. The guys who have been with us and the girls who have been with us a long time, they know you're a friend of the show. They know we've trained with you. But let's take it back. Let's take it back to 18 years old, Ellis Island. Let's go right to there and how your career progressed through the Marines as an instructor and then the private sector.
Well, Ellis Island is where immigrants used to come to back in the
Oh,
day. Processing
Harris Island.
Close, close, Jeff. Almost nailed it.
Jesus. You cut that. You
Nope.
absolutely have to
Nope.
cut that.
That's staying in. I actually was I'd been 17 for a month and like 10 days, and or a month and 26 days, and I was on the Yellow Footprints at Paris Island, South Carolina.
I'm pretty sure I said Paris
Spent about
Island.
16 and no, totally Nellis. I spent about 16 and a half years in the Marine Corps, almost 16 and a half, a little bit over 16, and they started offering early retirement, and I jumped all over that and had my package in like the next day for that, got approved. And what allowed me to do that was really my audience from Gunfighter Cast that was saying, hey man, when you put out a class, I'm going to come take it. And I retired from the Marine Corps early and started a business, and it did really well. Wife was mad at me because I was gone all the time. Found a really awesome company out in Wichita, Kansas called Thunderbird Tactical. We opened a $6 million training facility, rebranded to Thunderbird Firearms Academy, and I was the director of training there for a little over 3 years, and we built an awesome training program, and the place is very successful. When I was there, still successful today, and they're growing and doing awesome, and I'm still teaching classes out there every year or a couple times a year, and real still close, good friends out there. And then I got a offer to move to North Carolina and be the director of training for 2 ranges. And I really needed to get back to near my family because of family health issues with my mother and my father. And I wanted to get back there and be around them a little bit. So right now I'm in an RV parked next to their house because we're going to start traveling a lot here really soon. And this is kind of home base. And I took that job there in Charlotte, and it was about 4 months, taught their instructors, spent a lot of time with them, really grew a few different programs and did a lot of good there. And there are a lot of good people down there still. And I'm still teaching there a few times a year as well at Point Blank Ranges in Charlotte. And these kind of my home base in North Carolina for teaching we'll see some stuff on their calendar if you're in the area. And if you have people that aren't Canadian, listen to the show. But kept a good relationship with them, and they were good to me, and did a lot of good for them, and we both appreciate each other. It was just time for me to move on and go back out and do my own thing because I just had so many opportunities that I had to keep saying no to, and I didn't want to say no to them anymore. So I'm at a point right now in my life where if I'm not incredibly excited about it, I'm saying no to it. And it's not because of money. Not because I'm wealthy or have it. It's just I've worked for a long time since I got out of the Marine Corps to paying down bills to get into where I don't require much. I mean, heck, I live in an RV. I don't require much to sustain my family. We struggle, but we make it happen. But that part of that is fun. You know, I turned down more money than I would ever make, and I've ever made in my entire life which would likely been over 6 figures easy in 2017 to get in the RV, travel around, take classes, podcast, and create video content and teach classes. And I'm going to have, I would have had a lot more money if I'd have stayed there, but I'm going to have a lot more fun since I left. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm going to help a lot more people.
I'd like to interject right now, if I could, then with that, because here's the thing. You're at a stage in your life where you are able to, you're financially able to do this. You're physically able to do this. You and your wife are still very young. Your child is young. Easy to move your child around now than when your child's in 11th grade playing football and doesn't want to leave all of his friends, right? Now is the time to go on this adventure. That 6-figure salary, that's waiting for you when you're done with the traveling, when you're weary from the road and don't want to do that anymore. And when you're going to go back to running the range or running 2 ranges to get that 6-figure salary, you're going to be even farther ahead with experience and knowledge than you are right now. This is nothing. I see nothing but win-win for you.
Yeah, that was pretty much the math I did too. And I don't. When people told me when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, like, "Oh man, don't retire. There's no jobs out there." I was like, "Well, I'm making up a job." And
you make your own opportunity. That's right.
I made up a job, and it turned out, and I was very, very, very fortunate to get accepted by a lot of people that matter. And in this industry, there's nothing, and I'd say any industry, but this is my industry. So I'll say it specifically, but there's nothing more important than relationships, and there's so many unethical a-holes out there. Whenever you have somebody who is not one, that is also really trying to do good things, and I just got accepted by the guys that are kind of like-minded, and they happen to be the ones doing it the best out there, and now I get to call people that I looked up to for years, friends of mine, and I learn from them, and we help each other. They ask my opinion on things, and I'm like, really? You're asking me? And it's awesome. It just opens up so many doors for opportunities. They're like, hey, I had this going on, but I passed on it because I have this as a conflict. Do you want to do it? I'm like, yeah, that looks great. It's like that. It's just because of not being one of those instructors out there or YouTubers or content creators that is, their ego is so much bigger than their ability, and they just I think I just can't live that way, and it's helped me a lot. Being a nice guy, I guess you could say.
Matthew, did you think he was a nice guy when he was here?
Yeah.
Nice.
Come on, Matthew.
Nice.
I mean, now the reason why I'm saying that is because you're the only person I continually heard Daniel tell to shut his mouth. Now, maybe it's a you problem, actually, Matthew.
It
Sorry,
probably
Daniel.
is, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. And I tell him to shut up all the time, but the way you do it, it's got a certain panache about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. So
I'll see if I can work that into this episode.
Can't wait.
Well, if we play our cards right, we may get an outtake or two with it, because I believe you already told him once. So, next on the agenda for you then, Daniel, is SHOT Show, and I want to talk a little bit about that before we haven't even actually touched the main topic yet. I just love having you on, getting caught up with you, because you're one of my favorite instructors that I worked with, and you're always up to something cool and interesting. And next, you're headed to SHOT Show. And I'm curious, what does Daniel Shaw want out of SHOT Show? Why are you going? What are your goals? What do you hope to get out of this one? I know you've been there before. What's up with this one?
Well, so I do videos for Media Lodge and Get Zone. Media Lodge is the marketing side of Gunbroker. They have an awesome program, and what they do, and they've had a website they've launched a couple of years ago called Get Zone that just puts out a lot of really cool outdoor content. And my affiliation with Funker Tactical and being part of that team, we get a gig every year where we go shoot videos for new products that are launching and companies that are out there. And I get to do these videos, and I think they're looking at them, even if I remove myself from it, the fact that I'm in those videos and I'm the host kind of thing, I find that there's very little out there for SHOT Show content that gets to the point and gets to what the customer or the potential end user would want to know in a very short amount of time, in a very clean, crisp video.
Amen, brother. Amen. That's what all of my videos, I try to do that, and that is like, when I'm watching reviews on YouTube, I don't want to hear a guy's opinion. I don't want to hear him stumbling over the carpet and cursing at the cat. I want to hear about the gun and its features. That's it.
Yeah. And I don't want the thing to start in 2 minutes and tell me his life story before it. Just kind of my way.
So I bought this gun down at the pawn shop, and Billy Joe was behind the counter, and he was telling me about this time that. Oh, I don't care. No.
Daniel, that you just nailed my pet peeve. Don't spend 2 minutes. Don't spend 2 minutes telling me about your life. If I wanted to know about your life story, I'd subscribe to that channel. I picked this video because you're supposed to talk about this product. Please, if you don't mind, sugar on top, get on with it. Right? I'll look up a video on how to do something to a gun, how to disassemble a
like how to take the bolt out of a 1022.
Exactly. If I got to fast forward 2 minutes to get to the actual removing of the bolt, oh man. Anyway, all right, carry on, Daniel. We're glad we're all on the same page.
Yeah, so I'm doing videos for them, and we'll put out quite a few. Some of them will be out during next week at SHOT Show. Some of them will be out about 10 days afterwards. But there'll be quite a few. I think we're slated for somewhere around 20 videos, and we're gonna do those. And some of these will be longer, some of them will be shorter. It just depends on whatever it is. We don't have a set time. If the information is out there, the video's done. If it's not, then it'll be as long as it needs to be. Basically, is our format that we go for. So kind of my same model with podcasting is my show might be 30 minutes, but if the content's out there and it's done, but if there's more to talk about, it might be 2 hours. Who knows? I don't have any set times that I go by. So we do the same thing kind of with video. I'm talking. I got a few meetings with some companies about some another idea that I haven't really talked much about. I have a little bit. I'm not going to give many details about it, but when I'm taking these classes, I want to tell that story, and I want to have something in the kind of a TV show format. So I'm working on getting that funded a little bit, so I can go out and I can take these classes, and a lot of the classes I'm taking are with law enforcement and SWAT teams, and there's some other stuff. There's a big mix. My wife's taking some classes. We got a lot of things planned, and I want to tell the stories about why the officers are in that class, the kind of people they are, the regular everyday citizens that are in classes, why they're training. There's a lot of stories. Everywhere I go and teach, I get the same people in every class. They look different, they have different names, but they're the same good people. And there's a lot of negative stereotype out there for the gun owner out there, and I think I can tell a story that shows that gun owner and the law enforcement officer much more accurately the way they deserve to be shown and why they're out there doing those things.
That's outstanding. Those are great goals.
So I'm working on that, and if it doesn't happen this year, there'll at least be a little bit of it. But I want it to be big, but I don't know how big it's going to be. I'll find out next week, really, how big it's going to be.
All right.
That's all about dollars.
Here's where my plan would get derailed. I would run into like you or Carlson after the first night in the first bar, and then the next day it would be 2:00 before I left the hotel room, and I just wouldn't get anything done. But I think we would be going there with different goals, right? I would kind of be on vacation, but I would do my very best to drag you guys down into my despair with me.
Yeah. So I've also I'm going to be doing something that I haven't ever done before. I'm going to be getting a few interviews with some people for a podcast, and I'm going to be putting those out on YouTube, and then the audio will come out on regular podcast form with 360 video. So, for example, I'm going to go visit the Silencer Co. booth or the Nighthawk booth or somebody, and I'm going to be talking to somebody that you care about. And while I'm talking to them, you can move your little phone around and look around the booth and virtually be there. So I'm going to be putting quite a few of those things out. If anybody's not following me, Facebook /DanielShaw0369 and YouTube, I think it's Gunfighter Cast, YouTube /Gunfighter Cast, something like that. If not, Google Daniel Shaw on YouTube, you'll find me.
So will it be 1080p or 4K?
I have the 4K capability. It depends on file. It depends on file size. You saw the Facebook post.
Yeah.
It depends on the file size of the 4K.
That's cool. I've only ever seen 1080 360 videos. I haven't seen a 4K one yet. I don't know what the file size would be, but I bet you'd be quite a bit crisper and clear.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It should be pretty cool. Just a little bit of added piece to it, because there's so many people out there that are like, man, I see it all over Facebook. I wish I could go to SHOT Show. Well, this is the best I can do is put out some videos where you're almost there. It's like
look around. Yep.
And you don't have to get the SHOT Show crud or anything.
Yeah, the disease. Everybody comes home sick.
So I love SHOT Shows. People talk about how they hate SHOT Show or they don't look forward to it. I absolutely love it. My wife loves it. We have so much fun. We get there. So Sunday we have like a meeting Sunday night about the plan and how we're going to do these videos and everything else. Monday we wake up and we're going to be out at range day before they open, at media day at the range. We've got videos scheduled with personalities out there and companies that we have to go get these videos before the lines get too crazy, and whenever they open it up at noon for all the industry people, it gets out of control. So we got to get a lot of stuff done, then somehow get back after all these videos are done, work on some editing, do some other stuff. Wife got to get dolled up, and I got to get changed. We're going to the Hudson H9 launch party, and which is a very, very exciting gun, probably the product that I am most excited about seeing at SHOT Show this year.
I want to shoot that.
Yeah, we just talked about it there in the news. That seems to be the hubbub this year.
I'll be shooting it Monday. And we're going to that launch party Monday night and stay there for a couple hours and then go to one of our parties that we never miss, which is at the Leatherneck there in Chinatown near Vegas. And it's always puts on by Battle Comp and a few other companies. And they always raise some money for some charities. And it's a really awesome party that everybody kind of goes to. And it's a good time. So we will definitely be hung over for my first meeting that's at like 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday morning.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
When we go,
that won't stop until we leave.
No, of course not. No. When Slimefire does finally make it to SHOT Show, our party will be the one to attend. Just so you know.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because that makes sense. Yeah,
that's what we'll do. The first time we go, it'll be a big deal. It'll be a big deal.
Just don't put it on Monday or Thursday night.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. Okay. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. One of the things I like about you, Daniel, is that besides your commitment to being a lifelong learner, you're not one of those guys who's got his head up his ego's butt. Okay, you will say, I tried something and now I've changed my mind. I'm going to try something else and maybe I'll change my mind. I don't have all the answers. I'm always learning. And you admit all the time in public, I used to do it this way. Now I don't. I change stuff all the time because I'm always learning. It's one of the most important things to look for in an instructor is someone who wants to continue to grow in development. And you always own that where, hey man, I'm free to change my mind whenever I want when I get new information. And I'm always on the search for new information.
Yep.
That being said, you have made a decision recently that has not only myself, but several listeners concerned. Some people have called you a sellout, a turncoat, an admirer of antique technology. I just don't know how else to say it, but you're switching to a 1911, and it has a lot of us concerned. You put out a video stating that I would never trust my life to a 1911, and yet you're going to carry one for a year. What is that about?
Well, I am not going to carry one every day for a year. I'm going to carry one, and I am going to spend quite a bit of time, and I'm going to a few of my classes that I take, I'm going to dedicate the 1911. I'm going to use the 1911 the entire time in that class, and I'm going to carry the gun. I'm not going to carry it every day. I don't think the gun really fits for me carrying every day.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should carry one every day, and not to poke fun at the reputation of reliability of Kimbers and stuff, but it's a big, heavy gun. Even in 9mm, I don't know if I'd want this on my hip all day, every day, or in the front of my pants.
Yeah, I'm just going after. I want to learn I could have a 1911, take it all the way apart, and put it back together. You know, I'm not a novice when it comes to the 1911. I have spent thousands of rounds through 1911s. I don't believe that I know them like I know some of the other guns that I've spent years and years with, that being kind of my only choices, only guns.
I'm
going to spend a lot of time with it, and I'm going to learn. I'm going to try to take a class or an armorer's class, and I'm going to get much more in-depth knowledge. Like I don't know how to fit and tune extractors or ejectors. You know, I don't know how to do all those things because I want to work on that. You know, I want to figure all that stuff out, and I want to know how to completely maintenance my gun, to do everything I need to do, and I just want to learn every in and out of that gun to make sure I'm making the most informed decision in what I'm recommending. Now. I've got I'm very skeptical of what I'm going to find. I'm trying not to bring any biases into this at all. But at the same time, you know, I have witnessed a lot of issues with the platform, and there are companies like Nighthawk and Wilson and some other companies that I've seen in classes that tend to always do really well, and they don't have problems with the guns. And there's some that don't do well, that I see them problems every single time they come to class. I know it's going to be a problem that day. And it's an anomaly if it's not a problem for the student that day.
Matthew and I, in the classes that we've been teaching, have yet to see a 1911 make it through without some kind of hiccup. Now, that's not to say that we haven't seen other guns hiccup, because we've seen Glocks hiccup and we've seen all kinds of other manufacturers hiccup as well. Of course, Glock for 1911, Glock for 1911, whatever. So I picked those two names, but we've obviously seen other guns hiccup, right, Matthew?
Yes.
However, none of them bring joy to our heart like a 1911 malfunction. There's just something about a 1911 malfunction that just warms our soul a little bit more than another malfunction. Because we make the joke, we expect it. I think we're going to start a pool, right? Will it jam before 10 a.m.? You know. Now, Daniel, here's where you and I differ. I've also switched to the 1911 for this coming year. I've got a buddy who shoots in the classic division in the sport of IPSC, and he said, "Come on, join me. Come on, we'll get a spot on the provincial team in a year or two from now. Come shooting classic with me." So I like shooting with this guy. I learn a lot from him every time I do, and I got a smoking deal on the gun. I got an STI Trojan in 9mm, which is full retail, an $1,800 gun in Canada. And I got my gun practically new in box for $600. So I couldn't say no. Yeah, totally awesome. STIs are great guns.
That's like $500 of real money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's not for a real gun. So anyway, I'm going to give it a go. But mine's a little different, right? I didn't do a lot of tuning to it. I put on factory ambidextrous safeties. They're not they're not enlarged. I put on a Dawson Magwell, which obviously you wouldn't carry, and changed the front sight for fiber optic sight, and I put in some lighter springs. That's about it. Now, when you're seeing 1911s, the bias thing, I'm expecting it to fail. I want it to fail because one of the ongoing jokes on this show is that I'm the 1911 hater. Like we had George on here, the Mad Ogre, and I don't think he was ready for the way I run my mouth and rhetoric, right? And I think he was thinking I was attacking him because he liked the 1911, which I wasn't. It was just part of my shtick for the show. So
George may or may not be one of these. I'm not sure, but I know quite a few people who have 1911s and they swear by them and they don't have issues. Like they keep them running. They do great. And these aren't. And you get the kind of person who puts a box of ammo, maybe 2 downrange a year.
Yeah, that's not running.
Doesn't surprise me when they don't have any problem with their gun. If they're shooting 100 to 200 rounds a year. The people who are shooting 1,000 rounds a weekend, like some of the people that I know that carry 1911s and teach with them and use them and shoot with them all the time and compete with them, but they know how to keep their gun going. They know how to maintenance. They know how to keep that thing right, and they're not having issues. So there's a certain person that gun is right for. It's just where I'm at when I did that video, and where I'm at right now is I have a gun that already solves this problem. I don't need to add in more workload and more maintenance and more this and that to make this gun solve that same problem. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I want to get so good and know the in and out so well that I reduce that workload and that maybe that'll affect my opinion. Maybe it won't.
I think you hit the nail on the head. They're not for everyone. And I'm not saying you have to get in there and tune it and tinker with it and change this and change that, but you have to be willing to give it a little bit of extra care and attention. Mine, I've got the only thing I've done to it, well, I had a trigger job done to it, which just involved shaping the sear and the hammer a little bit, and I put in some lighter springs. But that's it. And it runs and it runs and it runs and it runs. And I can't get it to hiccup or do. And I mean, it's just 100% reliable, and it's got over 1,000 rounds through it so far. And I expect it'll stay that way. And one of the reasons why it will stay that way is because when I clean it, I check my extractor tension because I know how. And if it seems out, I know how to adjust it. I know when it's too tight and I know when it's not tight enough. And I'll replace the springs after every season. Maybe I don't have to. But heck, springs are cheap, and springs and extractors and magazines are the Achilles heel of the 1911. Now I've got the Dawson Precision Mags.
Heels.
Whatever. You're supposed to wait till the interview's done. You can go back sitting on the bench. Magazines, right? We know that magazines are a huge part of making a 1911 run, and I've always heard about the Wilson Combat 47D. And that's the one to buy. Well, I finally got my hands on some Wilson Combat 47Ds, and now I understand why they run, and I don't understand why everyone else isn't copying them and ripping off this idea. They have what every other magazine has: a solid, one-piece molded plastic, no-tip follower. And if every other 1911 magazine would adopt this style of follower, half the problems would go away. So, have you decided yet which way you're going to go as far as caliber is concerned?
Well, right now I have a 45 from Nighthawk. I think my next one is going to be that I'm going to get here in a month or so, because I'm also shooting with an RMR this year. I'm trying to put every round downrange with an RMR, and it's I'm supposed to be getting the Shadowhawk with the RMR mount on it, and that one I think it's going to be 9mm. I'm not 100% sure. I think they make that gun in 9mm. If not, I part of me wants a 45 to use that and to fix some of my laziness that I get from shooting 9mm, to go back to every single shot. Like I gotta have this. I can't get away with that crappy grip and stance that sometimes I just draw the gun quickly and I'm working. I can get past it with a 9mm. It doesn't have much of an effect on me. But with the little bit bigger 45 and a steel frame, you've got to have a little bit more technique. And I can't be lazy like I catch myself being every once in a while.
And it's wonderful when you spend some time doing that, a couple of months, whatever, and you jump back into a 9mm. Oh man, they become so easy to shoot. I shoot 40 in competition all the time, and then when I pick up a 9mm, it's so much easier to. I see what you're saying. When you shoot the 9 for a while, I can get away with a little bit of this. I can get away with a little bit of that. Where a bigger caliber would just eat you up, and you'd end up not having the accuracy wouldn't be there. So, well, I'm pretty satisfied with that then, Daniel. I'm glad to see that there's no growth if you stay inside your comfort zone.
Yep.
So I think it's a good idea what you're doing. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like us to talk about the reason we're having you on here tonight, and that is to talk about how to mitigate risks during your training classes. You've been trained. I can't even imagine how many students you've trained so far. Matthew and I are starting on our journey of becoming instructors, and I am always preoccupied with keeping the class as safe as possible and finding that balance between keeping it informative, educational, and fun, but as safe as possible. And obviously we can't we're trying to reduce the possibility of an accident by running a tight class. And we've seen the conversation. I mean, what stirred you've had 2 episodes recently that were really interesting to me. The episode with Masada Ayub, and then the episode with Paul Carlson. A little bit different. One was safety, and the other one was a student's ability to make decisions with regards to many different aspects of training. I think what prompted the episode you had with Mass was that video, that famous video that has been circulating recently, that came to light from the what's the guitarist's name from Three Doors Down?
Chris Henderson.
Chris Henderson. Well, you had an awesome episode with Chris Henderson. It required an explicit rating, but I totally support your thought in leaving that video or that episode unedited, leaving Chris tell it the way it was. He's a rock star, like you said, so you're going to get the occasional F-bomb, but it wasn't gratuitous, and he did a fantastic job. So the background here is Chris attended. Was he actually in that class, or was he in a class with those instructors?
He was the shooter to the left of the gentleman in the wheelchair.
Okay. So for those who haven't seen
his wife
the video,
was in attendance of the class too.
Okay. So for those who haven't seen the video and don't know what we're talking about here, there's a video circulating that was taken at a class. Chris Henderson from Three Doors Down was a student in the class. And part of the video that has everybody quite concerned is there was a student in a wheelchair at the class, and good on him for getting out there and getting training and trying to do everything that he wants to be able to do. The issue was, though, that in this particular drill, the students were moving forward while shooting at their targets. So one of the instructors was pushing the guy in the wheelchair forward while he shot at the targets. Now, there was a couple of problems. One, the range terrain was horrendous, and there was a lot of debris on the ground, which was making the wheelchair ride very bumpy and very unstable. And while he's trying to shoot, the gun is just waving around. He's not muzzling anybody.
Very bumpy and unstable is a great way to put a serious articulation left and right of that wheelchair getting caught on things on the range.
Yeah. So the other concern I have is I want to know where the instructors' heads were at when they thought the class has to move forward, so move the dude in the wheelchair forward. You tell me when a guy in a wheelchair is going to move forward and shoot at the same time. What in the F were they thinking?
Seems to me that could be a skill that he probably doesn't have to focus on.
I would say it's possible that, using a one-hand technique, he may be moving forward.
Well, what if he's going down a hill?
If the terrain allows it, that it is possible. I mean, if I had a person in a wheelchair in a class, and I would find a way to do this. If we're doing shooting on the move, he needs to know how to shoot on the move. He's doing a one-hand technique and he's moving forward. But I think the way that they went about it, it's not the way I would have done it. But would there ever be a situation? What's the likelihood of someone pushing him over very rough terrain while he's using a two-handed grip, shooting at a target? We start to go down a little bit lower in our land of what is likely to occur, and what are we trying to accomplish here? So some things I saw on the internet about that was one. He needs to be able to do that too. And if you can't shoot with 2 people next to you on a range, you can't do it and with 2 people next to the bad guy in a public environment. So you ought to be able to do that. And I don't understand that logic. The target is the target. It could be a circle with numbers on it, and I could turn it upside down and it's still a circle, right? So it doesn't matter what level of risk there is there. It doesn't matter, if my wife and kid are standing next to the target, I'm still shooting at that same spot on that target. I get the stress increase and all that stuff, whatever. But when we're basically the risk is outweighing the gain, it just doesn't make sense for me to do it. And in that class, it wasn't only the risk, but one of the people who were downrange, immediate area of where that gentleman in the wheelchair was firing, was clearly not okay with what was going on. They didn't sign on for that level of risk. And that's the instructor's top responsibility is the safety of the students out there on the range. And in my opinion, and the way I run my ranges, I would say that there was a failure there. If I had done that, I'd be failing my student that did not sign on for that level of risk for him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you said it best. Risk has to outweigh the gain. So everything you do in the class involves risk. But is it worth what you're going to get out of the activity? Have you seen the latest video? Well, I say latest video. I only saw it recently. I don't know how old it is. The instructor is standing next to the target, and he's having a student about 7 to 10 yards away shoot the target while he's standing there. And then he berates the class with this wonderful speech and says, this is totally safe. And if you're not capable of doing this kind of drill, you have no business carrying a gun.
So are you talking about the video where the guy, there's not a class, but there's the guy shooting and he's reading the safety rules and all those things? VSO gun channel, I think it is.
I don't know.
So
you're right. It may not be an actual class, but he's standing next to the target while somebody's shooting the target. He's literally next to it looks like a USPSA target with a head box or whatever.
So I don't think I want to have time, but I was planning on doing a video, something like this. So just, some targets up and my wife and kids standing next to the target and then acting like I was about to shoot the target and then basically tell the camera that that's just completely stupid. Why would I do that? It doesn't make any sense. It is unnecessary is the main way to put it. It's just completely unnecessary. There is no reason why I should do that. So here's my spiel, and I'll give it here to this episode instead of what I was going to put out by myself. And maybe I do include it in an episode of Gunfighter Cast in the future. So don't get mad at me if you listen to this show and that one and you hear this again. But I have trained with the best the United States has to offer. I have everybody from MARSOC, Navy SEALs, Force Recon. I was at Thermont Naval Support Facility in this past summer. You can Google that and figure out what those Marines do there. And I spent 6 days training them. And having these kind of things happen, they had told me to pack my stuff and leave if I would have done anything remotely close to what was in those videos. It wouldn't have been acceptable, even at that high level. I developed curriculum for the guys who guard the Navy nuclear security program, the guys who go to White House Communications Center and guard some of our nation's highest assets. I was a weapons team leader. I gained the title through the Marine Corps Security Force program of Combat Weapons Master Instructor, which is a very, very rigorous program that requires a lot of hours of teaching and testing. And it was a tough accomplishment that I did. And there's not a whole lot of names of people who have done that. Or made that requirement for that and got signed off by the commanders there. And I have been in combat, multiple times. Sometimes in combat, I've been a part of operations that involved ODA, Navy SEALs, just regular Marine grunts, the Force guys. I was part of a special team where I did hostage rescue, oil platform recovery, took down naval vessels, level 4 VBSS, which is the complete non-permissive. Like you're taking fire even as you're fast roping or laddering up. I've done all those things. Not saying that because I want a cookie or anything. I've also got a medal for valor and heroic achievement for leaving a cover and concealed position and exposing myself to enemy fire in combat in the city of Van Nazariya in Iraq, somewhere in the vicinity of March 23, 2003, because I had a lieutenant that was stuck in some water because we were about to drown as we were on a recon patrol. And I left that cover and concealed position and ran while I was getting fired at, and rounds were impacting around me, cracking over my head. And I exposed myself to the enemy, pulled him out of the water, threw him on my shoulder, carried him away, led the patrol back to friendly lines because our patrol leader was down. And I got a medal for valor for those things. But I am not okay with putting someone downrange when somebody else is shooting. And if that makes me a pussy, based on your assessment, whoever out there is making this assessment, I'm going to go ahead and say that you have your priorities out of whack. You don't understand what it is you're doing. You are at your ego is much higher than your experience level. Your ego is much higher than your ability to think critically. It's a dangerous thing, and the more it keeps happening, people are going to get hurt and die. I saw an instructor that people were coming out defending this video, and just like the one where the guy's downrange giving the safety brief that he had to read his notes for like 30 seconds to get the first safety rule. It's inexperience. Call me a pussy if you want. I have trained and I have done. I don't know what all the people in these videos and everything. I'm not going to guess their resume or anything else, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not a pussy. And I'm pretty sure the people that I hang out with that also think that is wrong and it shouldn't be happening, they're not pussies either. And if that's the case, then somebody has to be wrong here. And I'm going to go ahead and say it's not me.
All right.
Yeah, man, that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else needs to be said.
No, not really.
And I'm so glad that it was said on this show. That was you nailed. I mean, that's it. There's nothing else needs to be said. Let's move into how Matthew and I become safe, competent instructors and minimize risk in our classes. Now, obviously, Matthew and I are not we're of your mindset, right? We're going to do some cool stuff, but we're not going to do anything stupid. We understand the balance between risk and gain. So we're kind of somewhere between Masada Youb's approach and maybe your approach and Paul Carlson's approach. It's just how do we structure our courses in such a way as to just keep everybody safe, keep ourselves safe? What are some of the things that we can do to minimize that risk, to control that line? Do we need to go the full extent of Masada Youb, parade rest, holster safe, no scooping equipment until you receive the command? Or do we go to the other end of the spectrum? Maybe it's not all the way on the other end of the spectrum, but do we take the approach where, hey, you talk to the person to your right, you talk to the person to your left. I'm sure you guys are adults and safe and smart enough to work it out that you can bend over and pick up your magazines whenever you feel like it, right? Where's the balance there? What do you think?
It all depends on the instructor, and it depends on the class some too. And what level is this class? Where are they at in their quest for knowledge and their training and their quest for expertise and proficiency? So it varies class to class. If when I had those Marines up there in Thermont, or when I have some of the SWAT teams that I get to hang out with, there's a level of expectation that I have that almost like big boy rules apply. Here's the deal, but you're going to get your PP stepped on if you're not complying with what we know to be safe weapons handling of firearms, and it's not acceptable. Now, these people, whether they're a defensive shooter, the regular everyday armed citizen carrying a gun, or SWAT cop, or special forces operator guy, they have to use their gun in an environment where they also have to solve problems that sometimes may not involve the firearm. So I believe it to be a feature of my classes because I want to develop free thinkers. I don't run an incredibly, after what I said about not having anybody down range, somebody might just hear that and think that I'm running some range where you're going to unload show clear after every drill, because that's not the case. That's not the way I run a range. I try my best at the beginning to establish peer pressure. Here's the standard. Here's how you will handle the guns. Here is what we'll do and what is acceptable and what's not. Now let's load them up, and they're going to stay loaded all day because you carry your gun every day of your life. Who am I to tell you need to unload it when you're hanging out with me? So I want your gun to stay loaded. I want your gun to stay loaded all day long and not unloaded, because I want you to be held to a high standard by your peers that are out there, and me as well. And I want them to hold me to that standard. And if they're not used to carrying a gun, I want them to gain that experience of carrying that gun, that little bit of stress that they may get because they're not used to carrying a loaded gun on their side. It's nothing to me to have a loaded gun on me, but there's some people out there that's a level of stress for them. And I don't mind that. And I'm holding them to a high standard, and everybody else is as well out there in that class, in that controlled environment, because I want them to be able to do that later on. And if they are proficient with it, they understand that gun, and they're ready to carry a gun, I want them to be carrying the gun. So if I can help get them confidence in doing that, even better, because I got one more good guy carrying a gun out there that knows how to use it. So the balance is one, I have to have a class that is safe for me and the students and any other instructors that are out there. I have to have a class that the students actually grow and they learn in. And there is a balance there where I don't. It's to me, it's like it's common sense, but it's not fair to say common sense because not everybody has that has done everything that I've done, has seen everything that I've seen, and I don't say it in an arrogant type way, but it's just I have more experiential knowledge than a lot of other folks that are out there. And
yeah, and Masada, you said in the episode he was on with you, maybe you learn at a slower rate than other people, and I'm sorry for that, but I can't allow your slower acquisition of knowledge to put my other students at risk. So that's another thing. You can't assume your students know what you know, obviously. But we also have to consider that as well. Maybe there are some people out there among us. Matthew always tells me everyone learns at a different rate. That's why he speaks slowly to me. The fact is, it's a fact. Like, we're going to have people in our class that aren't going to catch on to some things as quickly as others. And I mean, you have to account for that as well, right?
So you need to have a plan for that. And I call them like my troubleshooters or the person that like, or that guy. And I'll say, all right, if I'm teaching with an assistant, I'm like, okay, then I usually am. I do my best to always have an assistant with me. I'm like, hey, that's our person right there. That's the one. And they know that's all I need to say, or I just point and they'll get it. That's the person I need to stand next to. They know that my expectations for that assistant instructor at that time is I've got to keep this whole train moving. You make sure that cart right there keeps learning and stays with the class and stays safe and doesn't endanger himself or anybody else. And there's a time where, there's small little techniques. Like I like to hang out toward the back right of the class in a lot of cases. If it's rifles, I can see ejection ports, almost everybody's, and I'll move around whenever I'm seeing something, but I'm able to see everybody a lot better from that position. And I will put that person right there in the area where I'm at the most, so I can constantly influence whatever their decisions are. I can coach them. I can be like they're in a boxing match and I'm their corner. If they run into a double feed or a reload situation, I am coaching them and talking them through that. Keep the gun pointed this way. Drop that magazine. And I'm just coaching them through all these little details. And I'm doing it in a way that really directs them how to do it until they're ready to go do it all by themselves. And it's just you're always going to have, you're not always, but you're going to often have somebody who just doesn't understand that you don't point guns at people. They're just not used to holding that gun. So you have to set really, really strict parameters at the very beginning. And so, for example, I go over my brief or my safety rules, and then I talk about what I expect of them, how they should handle the gun. When we're on the line and there's nobody in front of you and it's time to do something with your gun, then it can be out of the holster. If we're not doing something with the gun and I'm in front of you or you're anywhere else on this range, there's absolutely no reason your gun should come out of the holster. Pretty much every time I've gotten muzzled in the last couple of years is because somebody drew a gun from a holster when they had no business drawing a gun from a holster. And I tell them, like, hey, everybody's seen a Glock 19. Nobody cares. You don't need to pull your gun out to show anybody your gun. We've all got them. Nobody. It doesn't matter. So
how do you react when it happens? Somebody's on the line, and you're doing a teaching moment over here, and you notice to the corner of your eye somebody's got their gun out, and sure enough, yeah, it's a Glock, and they're showing it to somebody for some reason. How do you react in that instant?
And there's a good point in there too. I do notice it out of the corner of my eye. I am constantly watching and thinking.
Oh yeah.
And the whole time if I'm in front, I will move to a position where very quickly where I need to go. So I'm not going to get muzzled, and then I will tell them very directly to put their gun back in the holster. And say, you remember that time when we talked about it this morning where I said your gun shouldn't be out of the holster? That was one of those times when your gun shouldn't be out of the holster. There's no need for you to do that. And I give them the time when they can do it, explain to them what they did wrong and what they shouldn't do again and how they should handle that in the future, just like anybody else in any walk of life, in any industry, any job, any class, anything else. They're super new. I'm not kicking them off the range right there immediately. Now, it depends on the severity of what's going on, and with the way they are. But I exercise extreme ownership. I've been doing it for years. But then I read this book by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin called Extreme Ownership, two Navy SEAL commanders, which were just awesome. And I do it such a more higher level now than I used to from that book, because it really changed the way I look at a lot of things. If my kid does something bad, it's my fault. If I can't get through to my bosses what I need to get through for whatever I'm trying to get past in this company, then it's my fault. It's not my boss's fault. My frustration shouldn't be with somebody else. I failed to lead up the chain of command or lead down the chain of command. I failed to direct my child the right way. I failed to direct those students the right way. So it's my fault if that happens. I created a situation where this unsafe act was occurring because I didn't give the proper knowledge to begin with, or because of something that I did in that class, and I've got to make sure that I rectify that and explain it properly.
Interesting. Okay. It's only happened to me once, and I was so surprised that somebody was actually taking their gun out when they weren't supposed to. I won't say I hit the go button, but
so a lot of folks I've seen many instructors just not say anything, freeze, just stare, what's going on.
I was immediately correcting that person. They knew in no uncertain terms that they had done something they were not supposed to do. But it didn't make a huge deal out of it. I didn't embarrass the person. I didn't, what do you think you're doing? I just said, who the F told you to take your gun out of the holster?
I don't go to drill instructor on them when they do that. I was like, stop, put it back in the holster.
Yeah, I'll handle it differently next time.
Remember this, or what were you doing? This, and that. Remember when we talked about this? I'm being stern, but and they're probably embarrassed a little bit. But usually they're like, yeah, okay, I got it. I don't sugarcoat it with them either. Look, we've got this next level coming up next week, or this class going on. I need you to come take this class again before you can come do that, because I'm just not comfortable with where you're at right now. You got these things to work on, the way you're handling the gun. You're not really going to be ready for that one. And I'll be here, and this time I'll come spend some time with you. I give them a way to do it, but because my ultimate goal is I want to make people better, and I can't do that if I send them away. But at the same time, I've got to keep my class safe, and I've got to keep my class moving, and I've got to keep everybody learning. And there's a certain point where the person's just not going to be able to finish the class. And I find very often that a lot of the students because of the way, and it may be partly what I'm doing, but because of the way I explain to them what is expected of them and what they're doing wrong, and I believe that if I let somebody get away with doing something wrong or unsafe or anything, if I let them get away with it, I might as well have taught it. They deserve that from me. If they paid their hard-earned money and they're giving up their time to come hang out with me to learn, and if I let them get away with doing something unsafe or wrong, then I just failed them. That's the opposite of what I should be doing.
You covered that in one of your last shows, and I couldn't agree more. And the point you were making in one of your last shows was, I tell my instructors, if they see someone do something wrong and they allow them to do it, they might as well have taught it to them. And yeah. I couldn't agree more, and I say that to my archery coaches. Jump in there. Your job is to correct them.
Because of that, usually, and I'll tell them again, you know what, if you don't want to receive my coaching, or you don't want to receive my information, or you don't want to do that, and I very rarely to run into the person who doesn't, but every once in a while you do. I mean, it's pretty rare. I'm like, I'm sorry, because you're going to keep getting it. It's just. It's what I feel that's my obligation, and if that's not the kind of instructor you want, and I'm not yelling at you. I don't go up there and turn the drones. I'm just like, hey, that thing you just did, remember this right here, or I'm coaching them through it, or I'm talking while they're doing it, and trying to get them through the things the right way, whatever it is, and I'm correcting them whenever they're doing something wrong or unsafe, or and I'm not superhuman, but I have seen so many dangerous things on ranges in my life. I believe that I have developed a sixth sense. I can tell you when somebody walks up if they're going to be a problem that day, how their safety before they even touch a gun. I can look at the person and tell. I can before they're about to do something. I often know that they're about to draw their gun from the holster when they're not supposed to. I see these unsafe situations happen, not every time, but a lot of times before they even happen, and when I'm able, I may let it go until it's about to happen and I've 100% confirmed that it is, and then I stop them, because then I have created, or I've allowed, that teachable moment to happen.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like you start to be able to read the body language, and then to cover my butt, I'll say, "Were you just about to? Oh, you weren't. Okay, good. Carry on." And maybe they were. But they don't want to admit it, but they know I know, and nothing happened, and we all move forward.
But then it's an easy spin. Well, if you were,
Yeah,
or if anybody was about
exactly.
to do that, here's
Yeah.
what we should have done. Yeah.
So, okay, well, we're gonna have to wrap this up, Daniel. But before we do, Matthew and I, new instructors, want to grow, want to learn, want to develop. If you could give us one piece of advice, some lesson that you learned somewhere along the way that's changed your outlook or made your classes safer, keeping with the safety theme here for this topic, what would it be?
Oh man, I could have like 50 answers for this thing. This could be like a whole other show. One thing, safety wise.
So or throw anything at us. We're new. You're gonna want to help us out. You're a nice guy.
I could go a few different ways, man. Easy, sure. I would say take as many classes as you can, and I know that that's not the easiest thing to do in your current geographic location, but you're going to see it done right, and you're going to see it done wrong, and you're going to learn from that tremendously every single time that you see it, and take notes. And the biggest thing is don't be direct, concise. You don't have to explain every detail of everything you want. But when it comes to safety and what you're doing, I don't. You asked before the show, or the question that came up with was, Mass does the parade rest, completely unloaded guns, holstered, and all that stuff before they leave the line. And I'm telling people don't pick anything up, and I'm telling people to pick up their magazines if they need to. When I said earlier that I want to develop free thinkers, is I not only do I need to train them to use their gun and shoot gun, I need to train them to think in a world that involves guns. And if picking up a magazine off the ground or picking up something off the ground a quarter as you're walking through a parking lot, it's not a big deal. When you're on a range and you got somebody to your left and your right, and maybe I need to pick something up, maybe you're with your spouse or a partner as a law enforcement officer, and you need to assess a wound or handcuff somebody. There's so many situations where I need to solve little small problems, and we need to be able to communicate and do those things in an environment with people around us. And I think that we're able to do those things without risk. As long as the people are communicating and we're looking around and assessing what's around us, we can easily pick up things on a range without it. So altogether, the way I run the range today is different than I've ran the range 15 years ago and a lot, or I guess 12 years ago or so. I guess it might be 15 years, but it's so much back then. It was so much more strict and the way that I would do things. And now I realize that I can, through some of the things that I've learned and from other classes that I've taken and from teaching for a while and figuring out how to say more with less words and how to get more across with less energy, I guess you could say. I think that I'm able to run a very, very safe class that allows the students to also be free thinkers and train software along with the hardware, because we want to get more proficient with the hardware, because that it frees up our software the more proficient we are with the hardware. But we have to be able to there's a balance between, wow, this is way, way overboard range activities that we're doing, and at the end of the day, after unloading, showing clear, and all these different things, when I add it all up, I've wasted an hour. This may be the only class that students ever taught. Is there a way that I can accomplish the same level of safety, but also put more meaningful content in that time? And I'd say the number one advice, keep an open mind. Experiment, with people that you trust that are safe with guns, and try things, and don't be afraid to change your mind. Just because it's the way you've been running the range does not mean it's the way you should be running the range. There may be a better way to do it in terms of getting more information across to the students, being safer, and also preparing that student more for the reality of violence.
Outstanding. Well, if I can sum it up, then here's my takeaway. We as instructors need to have a solid plan. We need to be consistent. We need to develop strong communication skills, and we have to be willing to change and adapt and grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. All right, Daniel, well, do me a favor. Before we let you go, you got a lot of new sponsors happening. Plug everything. Where can we find you? Who should we support that supports you? Just run with it.
Yeah, man. People who've been listening to Gunfighter Cast for a while will know that I've always said that I will accept no sponsor unless it's something that one, that company's got to be of high ethics, and two, would I would this be a product that I use? And everybody that I've taken on sponsors are products that I use every single day, that I spend a lot of time with, and that I have learned to trust, or the best in their field. One, Cabela's is one of my sponsors, and Cabela's is I'm Cabela's pro staff. I do some stuff for them on the defense and tactical side, some writing, some video, and some photo stuff that should come out here in 2017. As I got involved with Cabela's, they sent me this contract, and the contract was nothing about winning at whatever I do, or being successful at competition, or better shooting big deer. It didn't care about any of that. The whole contract was about being a good person, and it was. I just thought that was absolutely awesome, and a huge Second Amendment supporter. The Cabela's is, and I think they have Cabela's up there in Canada now, if I'm not mistaken. They have one.
You son of a... Yeah, we have one. Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. But it was awesome being a part of that company, and I'm a huge fan of Cabela's. When I was a kid, I used to circle things in catalog that I couldn't afford that I always wanted, and I was on the cover of their shooting catalog. You couldn't see my face though; I had a hat on, and it was behind the object.
That's why it made it.
Exactly. but it was totally me. All my friends knew it because I have that hat.
All three of them knew it was you. Yeah.
Yep, they sure did. And but no, it was really cool being a part of Cabela's. Nighthawk Custom. That's really one of the inspirations for me doing a lot of 1911 this year. Because I was like, Nighthawk, you guys know I got a video that says I don't trust my life to a 1911, right? And they're like, yeah, we don't care. And I was like, all right. So I've shot a 2-day Nighthawk class, and we had like 15 people in the class. Everybody shot like 800 to 1,000 rounds, and we had 0 stoppages in those 2 days with all those rounds going down range. So and since then, Nighthawk has been my number one choice in any 1911s recommended for students or anybody else. I've personally seen them perform, and I've shot more rounds through a Nighthawk 1911 probably than any other gun out there, and so a lot of confidence in that. So Nighthawk Custom, in my opinion, the best ones out there. And the Bravo Concealment holsters make a really solid holster, and made 100% USA down there in Texas. And I really dig the DOS and the DOS L holsters. They're sending me a new prototype for a new holster here. Just got an email earlier that I think everybody's going to like a lot. That it's a little bit more concealability, kind of in the same nice platform that the DOS is. They make a solid holster, and with really my favorite thing about them is they got just really awesome clips. And I've got a coupon code for them actually where you can get 10% off. If you use the coupon code Gunfighter, you'll get 10% off a Bravo Concealment holster. Primary Weapon Systems and Bootleg, Bootleg's Primary Weapon Systems sister company. I've been shooting a Primary Weapon Systems rifle for over 3 years now, and can't recommend them enough. Awesome guns. There's a lot of good rifles out there these days. PWS is definitely one of them, near the top, if not the top in their piston category. That long stroke piston they use, it's like AK reliability with AR accuracy. All around awesome product. So that's pretty much it that I've got, and just getting the bills paid with those guys, and fortunate to be a part of those companies, because these are all companies that I love their ethics and what they do. And I've got a really, really fun thing going, and they're helping me make it happen. And I hope it helps out a lot of students and a lot of listeners out there as well.
Outstanding. Guys, you got anything else for Daniel before we cut him loose?
No, I think that was
great.
Awesome. All right. Well, Daniel, Kelly, sorry she couldn't be here tonight. I know she would have enjoyed this, but on behalf of Kelly and everybody else, we'd like to thank you again for coming on, and I'm looking forward to having you back on and hopefully seeing you on a range sometime in 2018. I know 2017's out, but 2018 should be a training year for me, so I really hope we can get together and do something soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope my rant came out good. I am probably not going to listen to it because I hate listening to myself, but I'm sure that I will get some love and some hate from it, and I always enjoy both. It's a lot of fun.
We'll send it on if we get any.
Yeah, I can't imagine getting anything but love for that, because
I'll even write some if you want.
Sure.
There you go.
Or write some hate mail just to spice things up a bit.
I'll reply with a shut up.
He did it. He did it.
Nice.
I'll do it in all caps.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks again, Daniel. Take care, man.
Yep. See you guys.
Awesome. Look, you guys know I'm a fanboy. I don't care. I'll admit it. I got a lot of, I don't know if a fanboy, but I have just a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for the man. he's doing great things for the industry and helping
Yeah, and
people.
Daniel Shaw's cool too.
Yeah, this was mostly about you. You're right.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure everybody knew that.
Yeah. Now, you wish you could do half the things that Shaw does to.
If I could do half, I'd be doing well.
Exactly.
A quarter.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, his.
No, it's
whole
always
reason-
fun having him on. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it. Right now, his whole reason for being is to help people live better lives.
Yeah.
Genuine. I mean, it's just awesome. So, check out Gunfighter Cast. Support him on Patreon. I mean, this is his living, right? He needs the Patreon. He needs the sponsorships because he wants to spend time being a teacher or being a student, learning more, and then giving back. So, how can you not get behind that?
It's a worthy cause, and you're getting good content out of it. So yeah, why not?
Absolutely. And the way his Patreon is set up, you can choose to pay $1 per episode, and then you can cap it. So his goal is to put out 8 per month. So if you're only supporting his show, well, $8 a month, whatever, right? But if you're like me and you support a couple of different shows, I capped it. So he could put out as many shows as you want, but I'm only paying for 3.
Right.
So there's, you go. And I have to tell you, for our Patreonies, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for putting in the effort, because the Patreon website is okay, but it's not the most user-friendly thing out there. You've taken the time out of your busy lives to log in and support
Figure out
our
how it
show.
works.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one thing to go onto iTunes and leave a 5-star review and insult me. That's cool. I appreciate it. But it's another to go out of your way to give us money to help make Slamfire Radio possible. So thank you very much, guys. I want you to know that we understand what it took for you to do that. Listener feedback.
That's a really underhanded sort of compliment for Patreon, wasn't it? By kind of saying that their website sucks in a very nice way by thanking our listeners for slogging through it to use it to
Look,
give us money.
as long as the right people got put up and the right people got put down, then I'm satisfied with what I said.
Yeah, you're doing well. I mean, it was just very, very nice. Good job.
Yeah. And I learned a thing or two about rants tonight from Shaw. Like, my go button is a joke now, or to put my go button in Shaw's words is a. That's.
Well, I'm going to have to bleep that one.
Yeah, you can bleep mine. That's fine. All right. Hey, Matthew, do you want to take the email here from the whale?
From Spencer. Hey, guys. Loved last week's episode on buying and selling guns. Now, when someone starts yammering at me how the laws in the U.S. are so lax, you can buy guns right off the internet and have them sent to your door, I can tell them, nope, that's Canada. We have tough gun laws here in the States. For example, unlike you guys, we aren't allowed to mail firearms through the U.S. Post Office as private citizens. Only licensed dealers are allowed to ship guns cheaply. If normal people need to ship a gun, FedEx and UPS are the only real options, and both require overnight service for handgun shipping, which is $80 to $100. Both companies also, that's $80 to $100 US, which is like $6,000 Canadian. Both companies also require a licensed dealer, gunsmith, or manufacturer at one end of the shipment, so you can't just send a gun to a friend that way. Also, I'm pretty sure buying a gun from someone outside of your own state requires a licensed dealer to be the intermediary. I know that's the case for handguns, and I'm pretty sure it's true for long guns as well, although there may be some exceptions there. In fact, the only way I know for someone without a federal license to get a gun shipped right to the door is to buy an M1 Garand from the CMP. They can still ship right to your house because that's how Congress set it up. By the way, if you want to see what a state-of-the-art range looks like, check out the CMP range just over in Talladega, Alabama. Pretty amazing setup, and it's only about an hour or so from here outside of Atlanta. Finally, as a complete aside, the Hearing Protection Act was introduced in Congress today. Fingers crossed. And that comes to us from Spencer in Smyrna.
Fingers crossed, or possibly ears plugged.
Yeah. Ears plugged. I have no idea what the CMP is, and I don't know why they get to ship Garands to people, but that's cool. Congress apparently.
It's the Civilian Marksman Program. They they get access to sweet Garands, and I'm super jealous.
Cool. All right.
I concur. All right, I got this next one from Chris, because he's a douche. Dear Slamfire hosts, sorry. I got a few episodes behind in the podcast recently and just got caught up. I missed the leg shaving extravaganza, and as I listened, I felt that I had a suggestion. You should have kept it to yourself. There should have been a tiered incentive system to encourage donations. For example, $200 of donations, Trevor shaves one leg to the knee. $400 worth of donations, both legs to the knee. $600 worth of donations, both legs to mid-thigh. $800, both legs and beard. Have you seen this thing? You can't shave this thing. It's never coming off.
You can't shave this.
Oh, I wonder who's going to get that. That's awesome. Well done. Oh, I thought Tommy. If Tommy's listening, he'll get it.
That's about the only one, probably.
$1,000 worth of donations, both legs, beard, and arms. My goodness, man, what's wrong with you? Everything but the head. I wonder why he doesn't want the $1,200 worth of donations, both legs, beard, arms, and eyebrows. $1,200. I don't think so. I think that something similar could be done for the SKS shoot. Don't worry. So here's a suggestion for the SKS shoot: $200. Trevor shoots an SKS. $400. Shoots an SKS. Whole wearing a dress. I believe that was supposed to be while.
Sure.
$600. Trevor shoots an SKS while wearing a dress and heels. $800. Trevor shoots an SKS while wearing a dress, heels, and a blonde wig. Blondes do have more fun. $1,000.
Shooting an SKS.
Yeah. They would feel even dirtier than usual. $1,000. Before shooting an SKS, Trevor gives a speech about the virtues of the SKS while wearing a dress, heels, and a blonde wig. $1,500. Kelly butt strokes Trevor with the SKS while he's wearing a dress, heels, and a blonde wig. Thanks for the great show. I'm giving you 2 silky smooth latte legs for all the effort. 2 silky smooth latte legs. My goodness. Chris from North Windsor, a.k.a. Detroit, Michigan.
Nice. North Windsor. I love that.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, you need help. I think I told him that in an email. He said, wow, that was cheaper and easier than my therapist. Adriel from Kyle. All right, Adriel's gone. So Kyle says 45 Super, 45 Gap, 460 Roland, 454 Casull, and 357 SIG are all relatively rare calibers. Are there any rare calibers you guys would like to see become more common and therefore cheaper? Are there any common calibers you think are a complete waste of time? 45 ACP. Oh, thank you all for making such an entertaining show. All right. Well, first of all, let's go from the backwards forwards. Common caliber that can pretty go away because it's a waste of time. Not the 45, but actually the 40. The 40 doesn't need to exist anymore, in my opinion.
Nah.
It's in the same frame as a 9mm, and it's no more effective. We know now that proper propellants and bullet construction that create the proper wound channel are all that matters. And what all that really means is use a rifle.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, use a rifle.
Use a rifle.
Use whatever handgun you're comfortable with, but use it to get to a rifle if you need a gun.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, 9mm has come a long, long way. The FBI was using the 40 because they didn't think the 9 was any good, and now they're back to the 9, and that is because of the development of the bullet and how it's constructed and the wound channel it can create.
Yeah.
So the 45 ACP, again, there's better bullets, there's better propellants, so the 45 ACP is still relevant. And I mean, the 40 is going to benefit from all those developments as well, but you just don't need that little thing stuck in the middle. I don't think so.
No,
Use a rifle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I've read study after study that the end conclusion is all handguns are basically the same. Doesn't matter what you use. What's more important is you hit what's important.
Yeah, until you get into like the bigger ones.
Well, sure. Yeah, I'm talking like
your regular carry
38 up to 45. Anything between 38 and 45 it's a handgun. And pick which one you can shoot the best and which one. I mean, they all have attributes. They all have pros. They all have cons. Pick the one that most closely matches your personal opinions and your personal beliefs and your personal whatevers. Preferences. There's the word I'm looking for. Preferences. And then go with it. So it doesn't really matter. As for which ones do I think should be more common, you know what? Bring them all. I like guns. I like them.
in those ones that he listed, if I was going to pick one of those, I'm very much not familiar with the 45 Super. 45 Gap I'm experienced with. Shot it, have some brass here for it. It's kind of cool, right?
That's like the 45 Gap's like so if you looked at like a 10 mil and the 40, the 45 is like the 10 mil and the 45 Gap is like the 40. Is that am I right? 45 Gap just a bit shorter.
I think that's a wonderful way of explaining it. It uses all the brass, uses a small pistol primer, but it is the same. It uses the same bullet. Typically, it's loaded with a 180 grain.
Okay, so it's the same bullet, but just a little bit shorter case and a small pistol primer instead of a big one.
Your analogy of the 45 or the
10 and 40.
Yeah, 10 and 40 is perfect. Yeah.
Cool.
So out of these ones, I would like to see more 357.
That's the one I was going to pick too. I like the idea of a bottleneck pistol cartridge, and not because you get a little bit better velocity. That's great. But what I'm most interested in is better reliability in feeding, because you're putting a small point into a big hole. You're going to get better feeding.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've never heard anybody complain about the reliability of a 357 SIG. No. Staunch little cartridge, man.
Oh yeah,
I shot them in.
They say that the high-end 357 SIGs match the low-end 357 Magnums. I mean, that's something coming out of us.
You could probably even get to mid-range 357 Magnum. That'd
be cool. I mean, I know we can't carry around here, but if I could carry out in the woods, I'd probably carry a 357 SIG and be comfortable with that for black bear.
Yep, a nice 124 grain, well-constructed bonded bullet.
Yep.
Something like what's in the critical defense.
Yep. So you have the power of a revolver with the quick loading of a semi.
Yep. I mean, it's snappy, man. Follow-up shots are going to take longer. I mean, there's a lot of recoil, but it's just a very powerful package in a handgun. Yep. So, all right. Did we still lose Adriel? Is he back yet?
Yeah, he sent me a message saying that his internet cut out. So.
He's got that cheap Edmonton oil sands.
He's rebooting his modem, so by the time he gets that done, we'll be done the show. So the perfect time.
All right. Yeah. All right. Good night, Adriel.
Good night, Adriel.
So if you would like to email the show, you can do so by sending an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. We actually have an iTunes review. The Appleseed Princess, Miss Stacy, sent us one in, and it comes to us from the Fluffy Canuck. Super. 5 stars. Title, awesome. Review, awesome podcast, fun and helpful.
Short, sweet, concise,
and accurate.
And well,
I think so. But
it's fun.
Yeah. So please feel free to get on there and leave us one, even though it's a pain in the butt. And we're always interested in reviews from countries outside of North America, just to see who else is out there and actually putting up with us.
Yeah.
So shout outs. This one is from Kelly. Kelly says, 1 year ago, I was on my first Slamfire episode. Happy anniversary, guys. That's cool because we're kind of similar. I just had my 5-year podcasting anniversary, so it looks like we kind of have some similar dates there. So a year later, she's actually part of the team, and we're mostly happy to have her.
No, wait. That's Adriel we're mostly happy to have, isn't it?
Not even mostly,
or is it me?
We're not even... Let's just move on. Ash, I just don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Oh, come on. That doesn't sound like you at all.
I know. So my 1022 project, we kind of blasted over that a while ago, but I started the 1022 project, and it came in a camo stock and a camo receiver, and the barrel ended up being bubbed. And so I ended up getting a smoking deal on the gun as a result, $100 off the price. And I went to Slamfire Radio's Facebook page and said, guys, I need a 1022 barrel. And within minutes, I had a 1022 barrel for $40.
Nice.
And that's Ashton. So, Ashton, you're the man. You stepped up. Not only, it's actually Cerakoted in Flat Dark Earth.
Cool.
So, yeah, that was cool, right? And then somebody on CGN had the 20-inch target barrel, which is the barrel that's 1 inch in diameter.
Yeah.
It's cold hammer fired, right?
It's heavy. I used to have one.
Mm-hmm. So that came on for a super deal. So I picked that up. And my next shout out goes to Mr. Uzi. So Mr. Uzi is just I don't know, man. He's an awesome guy. and he supports us in huge ways constantly. Buys Adriel lobster. I'm assuming he bought him lobster, but maybe he bought him the crab. I don't know. Mr. Uzi gave Adriel crab, so you heard it here first.
Yeah, heard it here. Yeah, it must be true. It's on the internet.
Yeah. So Thomas has been a huge supporter of not just this show but all the podcasts, and he did me a tremendous solid. So thank you very much, Thomas. I really appreciate it, brother. Patreon supporters, we got a couple of new ones this week. John D is in for 223.
Yeah, it's Josh.
And it is Josh. Yeah, I'm sitting
definitely
way
says
across
Josh.
It's Josh D and
Definitely.
John D. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
it's really just Josh D.
it is just Josh.
And Andrew Young is in for 76.2. Is that what that is?
76 by 39.
76.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did Andrew Young get his whole name in instead of just Andrew Y? Is he extra special or something?
Somebody just not consistent with the note taking.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So Andrew Y gets 7.62 by just by, and Morgan S, pilot friend of yours.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, very cool.
Hey, Morgan, that picture of that the plane on skis there that you kind of put that filter on and made it look all grainy and stuff. Can you send me like the original of that? Because that would be a really cool picture had you not applied that filter to it.
And I'm told that I am the worst kind of person.
I'm just saying.
Can I have the picture before you screwed it up, please,
yeah,
Morgan?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
So he left SummerSlam and was driving home, and he saw a tank or an APC on the side of the road, and he was inspired by SummerSlam. He got out, put a couple of IPSC targets on it, and took pictures of it. And left 60 beer behind. What a nice guy.
Oh, he is a nice guy.
Yeah. And well, this is how nice he is. He has actually upped his contribution to 76.2.
76.2. Yeah.
Yeah. And to all the other current Patreon supporters, thank you so much for hanging in there month after month and pledging to support the show. We really appreciate it.
Yep, we do.
What else we got? That's it.
Adriel's back.
Hey, Adriel.
I was here the whole time.
Yeah. I had to pick up your slack.
Yeah. He's like, Adriel, can you read this? Crickets.
Yeah.
So please join one or more of our national firearms associations. You know, we've got the CCFR, the CSSA. There's a couple other ones out there that we should be naming here. The Canadian Firearms Institute. There's a lot of good people out there working to help you. Don't think of these groups as being in competition for each other. They are no more in competition with each other than municipal law enforcement is with federal law enforcement. They're both enforcing the law. They're taking different approaches to it, and they have different roles to play. That's what your firearms organizations are like. They complement each other. They do different things. But one thing they all have in common is they want more rights, privileges, and freedoms for you as a firearms owner. So support as many as you can. Check us out on CGN. We have an awesome little thread over there that nobody posts on, but we love CGN anyway. We just don't get
you're looking for GOC.
Yeah, GOC.
What did I say?
So you said CGN.
You need to cut that.
Yeah, nope. Nope. This is how we roll,
That is
boy.
the worst
It's just a
5 years of podcasting.
Is it?
No,
I don't
Nathan,
think it is.
No.
I think Nathan is on his way to see me right
He's
now.
probably on his way. Yeah.
I'm going to be sorry when he arrives. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't blame him.
You
So
should
gun
apologize
owners-
profusely to him right now. Yeah.
I am, kind of.
Yeah.
I've met the man. I've not met the other guy who was ruining CGN, but I've met the guy who's making GOC a success. How was that? Did
That's
I get
good.
right up?
No,
Did I get a little brown on my nose there?
I think you're doing all right there.
Yeah, I think I'm up to my neck. Anyway, yeah, Gun Owners of Canada is a great website. Friendly crowd and lots of stuff to check out and amazing contests month after month. I don't know of any other gun site where you can win the stuff that you can win on Gun Owners of Canada.
Yeah, I got some cool stuff.
Like us on Facebook because we are at 1,601, and this show is now officially in competition with the Reloading Podcast. And although I'm on both, no, I'm going to stop right there. So, like us on Facebook, and it's the new year, kids. We're looking for some thumbs up and some gold stars, so feel free to send that tomfoolery over. And that's really all I have to say about that.
All right. Cool.
Until next week, everybody.
Keep your stick on the ice.
And be
Shoot
good to each other.
straight, shoot safe, and shoot often. You can burn this. What else do we got?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
No, you guys aren't actually.
You're wrong.
I hardly even am anymore. Yep. Shoot off the mic. All right. On that awkward moment.
All right then. Good night.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.